Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So part 2 of the glories of the holy name. And this is one of the verses that I would like to welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today, and like to seek your good wishes and your blessings so that we can understand a little bit more of the treasure that we hold, which is the holy name. And one of the ways we can do that is this prayer by Lord Chaitanya is one of the first verse in the Shikshastakam, 8 verses that he left written, and very important verse because it glorifies the holy name. And we can recite this verse together. Cetodapanamajanam Bhavamahadyavagni Nirvapanam Shriya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Patipadam Purnamritam Swadanam Sarvatmasnapalam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. These 8 verses, the Shikshastakam, are often recited in temples after Mangal Aarti. I know in Vrindavan they recite this in many temples, Mayapur, because they're so important, these verses. And he only left 8, so they're not that difficult to remember, but they're very powerful. And this one is broken down into many aspects. All of these, we can go through each category of this verse here. And it's a good idea to try to memorize these verses, especially if you've been devotee for a long time. It's a good thing to do, to memorize. And many times, or every time actually, before japa, one can recite these mantras just to help the focus and attention. So let's go through each one of these points. Each one has so much to do, so much to say. Let there be all victory for the chanting of the holy names. So this is the translation of the whole verse, which can cleanse the mirror of the heart and stop the miseries of the blazing fire of material existence. No, that's the effect of this. That chanting is the waxing moon that spreads the white lotus of good fortune for all living entities. It is the life and soul of all education. The chanting of the holy name of Krishna expands the blissful ocean of transcendental life. It gives a cooling effect to everyone and enables one to taste full nectar, at every step. So this is the whole translation. I think this presentation was done in a little bit of a skillful way. It's making all these sounds and noises. No idea what it means, but anyway. Okay, so let's go through each line. 7 effects of chanting. These 7 effects are given in this mantra. Can everybody hear these sound effects?
Yes, Prabhu.
It's weird.
I do happy birthday.
It's not my birthday. I'm only 21.
It's still your birthday.
Thank you.
6 I think.
So,
Ignore it.
sorry?
I said, don't ignore it. Happy birthday to you and many happy returns of the day. I meant to say it this morning.
Just send your blessings and that's enough.
Lots of blessings.
Thank you.
Prabhu, happy birthday, Prabhu. Many happy returns. Lord Krishna bless you.
Thank you so much. I was saying earlier, I don't celebrate birthdays, especially when you pass 21.
We'll talk about it later.
Okay, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for your kind wishes. It stops the miseries of material existence. So this is pretty fundamental. It's the life and soul of all education. So just focusing on the chanting, it actually is everything. Whatever we're learning, whatever we're assimilating, it's to get our chanting in a proper situation, in a proper place. So we understand that there's nothing better than this chanting of the holy names. Nothing more serious than that. It's like the waxing moon that spreads the white lotus of good fortune for all living beings. It's great fortune. And this is the beauty of chanting. When we chant out loud, so many other living entities get the benefit as well. Even those living entities which live within our own bodies, because there's one primary living entity, that's us, but there are also other living entities living in our body. And when we chant loudly, they get the benefit as well. It's full nectar at every step. It has a cooling effect on everybody. It expands the blissful ocean of transcendental life, and it cleanses the mirror of the heart. And that's where we're going to start, cleansing the mirror of the heart. Cheto darpanam mahajanam. So that's the first line. The mirror of the heart is purified of the dust of material impressions consisting of desires to enjoy separately from Krishna and of bad habits, anathas. So we've developed these bad habits over lifetimes and lifetimes. We've created all these impressions which are imprinted on our mind. They're called samskars. They come from the past. Activities that we've done which have been stored in the mind even from previous lifetimes. And sometimes we wonder why we act in a certain way, which is completely contrary to our nature. And it may well be because of these material impressions that come from the previous lives, which are so deeply embedded within our consciousness. And we surprise ourselves sometimes. How did that happen? How did I manage to do that? Why was I so stupid? So these impressions are from previous births. What the chanting will do, it purifies the heart of the dust of these material impressions. It gets rid of those material impressions. It takes care of the root of the problem, desires. So our desires become purified. Because at the moment, our desire is to enjoy separately from Krishna. But with the chanting of the holy names, it connects our desires with the Supreme Lord, to please the Supreme Lord. Very, very important. And it gets rid of the bad habits. We've created our own bad habits, our own things that we do. It's so easy to create a bad habit, but it's so hard to get rid of it. And it's so easy. It's so hard to create a good habit, and it's so easy to get rid of the good habit. So get rid of the good habit, right? It's so easy to fall into bad habits, isn't it? Even if we have a good habit, we can lose that good habit quite easily. And a bad habit, it takes a long time to lose a bad habit. So this is the first point. Cheto darpana mahajanam. Very, very nice verse. Very nice start. Second, Mahadavagni Nivapanam. So it extinguishes the suffering of the tremendous blazing fire of material existence. Agni, fire. Davagni. Nivapanam gets rid of the suffering due to the material existence, blazing fire of material existence. And this is where This prayer is very important. We sing this every morning. Samsara Dava. The spiritual master is receiving benediction from an ocean of mercy. Just as a cloud pours water on a forest fire to extinguish it, so the spiritual master delivers the materially affected world by extinguishing the blazing fire of material existence. So it's by the grace of the spiritual master, from because he's getting his benedictions from the ocean of mercy, that's Krishna, and he can deliver that, deliver us by extinguishing this blazing fire of material existence. So what the holy name does, the spiritual master gives us the holy names, and when we chant, his mercy flows through the holy name by destroying our material existence, the blazing fire of material existence. Bhava Mahadavagni Nivapanam. So Cheto Dapanam Marjanam, Mahadavagni Nivapanam. Gets rid of our material life. So the first one cleanses our heart, second one destroys the burning fire of material existence. So this is powerful. Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam. Chanting resembles a cooling moon, Chandra, which causes the white lotus of good fortune to burst into bloom. So this is the moon, this is the lotus. Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam. The moonlight of the holy name reveals all auspicious things to the sincere chanter. So the holy name contains everything. And when we chant, everything gets revealed, especially if we're chanting sincerely, not with some envy towards the Lord or his devotees or any living entity. If we're chanting sincerely, in a simple, innocent way, then everything automatically gets revealed to us. The chanter is freed from past sins. So this is the point about the cooling moon. This holy name, we don't have to suffer the horrible blazing fire of past karma, because this holy name will free us from any past sins. Like Ajamil, he was freed from his past sins. Otherwise, he himself was thinking, I should go to the worst type of hell. But chanting the name of Narayan freed him from his past activities, sinful activities. Joyfully perform Vidya Vadu Jivanam. Actually, Vidya Vadu Jivanam is the life and soul of knowledge. Yeah, chanting is the life and soul of knowledge. So Vidya, knowledge, Vadu Jivanam, life and soul. In the heart of a devotee who chants the holy name, Bhakti Devi. Who's Bhakti Devi? Anybody like to answer?
Is it Radharani?
Radharani. That's correct.
Yeah.
So in the heart of a devotee who chants the holy name, Bhakti Devi, Shrimati Radharani, the bride of the Lord, appears with her two sons, Gyan and Vairagya, knowledge and renunciation. Vidya Vadu Jivanam. Knowledge, who we are, who God is, what's our relation with him. Renunciation from this crazy world, crazy attachments that we have in this world. We have so many attachments, and chanting the holy names will free us from those attachments. So it's the life and soul of all knowledge. Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. Ananda, happiness. Chanting gives rise to the auspicious ocean of transcendental life. The whole spiritual life develops from one's chanting, like a big tree which grows out of a seed. So chanting gives rise to the auspicious ocean of transcendental life. Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. Let's just have a quick look at something. Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. The chanting of the holy name of Krishna expands the blissful ocean of transcendental life. Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. It expands the ocean of transcendental life. So chanting Hare Krishna, the more we chant with faith, devotion, the more we can enter into the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, the transcendental life of the Supreme Lord. Pratipadam punamartam swadanam. At every step, pratipadam, chanting conveys perfect sublime nectar. Puna amrata. Amrit is nectar. Swadanam tastes very nice. It is the bud of the flower of divine love. It blossoms and reveals Krishna's form and qualities and his pastimes. So this is what will happen. The more intensely we chant with love and feeling, Krishna's attributes, his forms, his qualities, they all become manifest. His pastimes, automatically, don't have to study separately. The more better we chant, our own spiritual identity becomes realized, as well as Krishna's form and qualities and pastimes become realized. And we grow. At the moment, we're very tiny, but we'll grow as we advance spiritually. Our spiritual body also grows. Sarvatma Snapanam. Chanting has a cooling effect on everyone. Sarvatma, everyone. Snapanam. It reduces the fever of conditioned existence, desiring to enjoy material life. So if we're chanting and we understand, and we're not so attracted to things that we were before, that's a good sign. That's a sign that we're making progress. If the material desires are reducing due to the chanting, that means we're chanting properly. If they're not reducing, if our desire for material gains and material possessions is there, or perhaps even increasing, then perhaps we're chanting with a motive. Perhaps we're not chanting simply to please Krishna, to serve Krishna. Maybe we're praying and we're asking Krishna, please, I want this. Even we sometimes can do it subconsciously, unconsciously. So we have to be a little bit careful when we're chanting, not to request anything from the Lord. But if we do want something, request it from the Lord. But the ideal scenario is we don't want anything from him. We simply want to serve him. That's what conquers the Lord. So if we are wanting to enjoy this material life less, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. We're in the right direction. One who is always engaged in hearing and chanting the holy name will remember the Lord in the hour of death and will be elevated to the spiritual kingdom. So let me just go back. This verse, we just need to finalize this verse. There's one more thing left. So the last bit of this verse says, Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which means all glories to the Sankirtan movement of the Lord. Let there be all victory for the chanting of the holy names of the Lord, which cleanses the heart, the mirror of the heart, and stops the miseries of blazing fire of material existence. That chanting is the waxing moon that spreads the white lotus of good fortune for all living entities. It is the life and soul of all education. Chanting of the holy name of Krishna expands the blissful ocean of transcendental life. It gives a cooling effect to everyone and enables one to taste the full nectar at every step. Cetodapanam majanam bhadavagni nivapanam shreya kairavya chandika vitaranam vidyavadhu jivanam anandam buddhivardhanam patipadam purnamritam swadanam sarvatma snapalam param vijayate Shri Sankirtanam. So, any questions on this verse? Any comments on this verse? Has anybody learnt it? Try to learn the verse.
Yes, Prabhu, we have learned it.
Fantastic, fantastic. Very good. Very sweet verse. You know all 8, right?
All 8, yes, Prabhu. The grace of Guru and Govinda, yes.
Yeah, yeah, good. Very good. Fantastic. Okay, let's go into the next bit. So if this is in the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Whoever remembers the Lord at the hour of death, they will go to the spiritual world, without a doubt. We've seen this picture before. If one is thinking about something material at the end of life, which generally is what happens, then we will end up in that situation. We will stay in this material world. So this person's thinking of the dog and the pet. And there was I was reading the other day, one dog, his master was in the hospital for 6 days, and the dog was waiting outside the hospital for the master to come out. Such attachment, not just in human, but it's in the animal world as well. So we have such great attachments in this world, from family to friends to possessions to pets. Any attachment in this world to this world will keep us in this world. So somehow, slowly, we have to become detached. And sometimes that sounds a little hard. How can I become detached from my children or my grandchildren or my wife or my husband or my friends? But we stay attached, we stay here. But if we become attached to the Supreme Lord, then automatically the attachments in this world become less, to this world becomes less. But somewhere that has to be that cutoff. As Krishna says, through the sword of knowledge. We have to break the connection with this world if we want to get out of this world. And some people can time it just right, but there's no guarantee because we don't know when we will leave this body. So this person here is driving along nicely, has a crash, is perhaps thinking of money, and in his next life, who knows, might be a bank clerk working in a bank, counting money. One who's thinking of Krishna at the time of death, he will achieve Krishna. This is not so easy. It's said that whatever you were thinking of throughout our life is what we'll remember at the end of our life. Our life flashes by very quickly at the end of life. So whatever we've done, whatever we're doing, whatever we've done in our life will be what flashes across. So we have to be a little careful. We have to practice Krishna consciousness as much as we can. So, holy name is Yugadharma. In this age of Kali, Hare Krishna Maha-mantra is the incarnation of Lord Krishna, especially in this age. Maha-mantra is incarnation anyway, but especially there's more potency in this age of Kali Yuga, and that's due to the glory of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anyone who chants this is certainly delivered. And the the pranam for that, the evidence for that is Kali Kala, Kali Kale, Nama Rupe Krishnavatar, Nam Haite Haya, Sarva Jagat Nistara. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita, I think. Or is it from one of the Puranas? Can't remember now. But this is the evidence for this. Anybody who chants this is certainly delivered. Like we discussed yesterday, 3 types of chanting. Manasa, this is within the mind. Very hard to do this in this age of Kali Yuga. Very difficult. Because we don't have the concentration, the focus. And then there's chanting upamsa, which is just murmuring so you can hear yourself. And that's how we generally chant our japa. Especially when we're in the company of devotees, we try to chant softly, so not to disturb anybody, but it's audible to us. And then there is chanting out loud in kirtan. And it is said that chanting out loud is very, very beneficial. 1,000 times better than silent chanting. As we said yesterday, the names of God should be chanted loudly. Jiva Goswami. And Baladev Vidyabhushan, he says, if one chants the Maha-mantra loudly, Krishna personally dances on the tongue. That's also said by Rupa Goswami. Any questions, any points on this? Okay. Krishna's principal and secondary names. This is really interesting. What's the difference? A name is a name, right? The difference is one of his names is very affectionate, or the primary names are very affectionate. The secondary names are where he's glorified for his opulence, like Ishwara or Paramatma, Bhagawan is another one. Allah, Allah means oh merciful, the great, right? God, oh powerful. But his primary names are very affectionate to him, close to him. They may come out of a pastime, like Govinda, protector of the cows, or protector of the Brahmins. Gopal, protector of the cows. Ram, one who gives pleasure. Gopinath, protector of the gopis. Radhanath, protector of Radha. So what's the difference between the two? It's like a person who goes to work. When he goes to work, he'll be called by his formal name or her formal name, Mr. or Mrs. or whatever, ma'am. But when he comes home, he will be called by his wife or his children, his close ones, by his affectionate name, whatever that name is. Pitaji, Daddy. And when he hears himself being called by his affectionate names, he becomes very happy to hear that. Whereas if he's called, for example, by his wife, Mr. Patel, he'll think that's really odd. Why is she calling me Mr. Patel? He won't be so attracted. So even if in the office one is called by Mr. So-and-so, it's not as attractive as when somebody close to you calls you by your a nickname or a pet name. So in the same way, Krishna becomes very attracted when he's addressed by his primary names. And when he's addressed by his secondary names, he may not be so attracted because the relationship is all contained, mainly the close affectionate relationships are within the primary names. The secondary name addresses his majesty, and he's not so attracted when one addresses his majesty. But when one addresses his sweetness, like the names of the other names of Krishna, which are very
Makancho.
Makancho, Damodar, he becomes very attracted to those names because he himself remembers those pastimes when we call out those names. So that is why these three names, Hare, Krishna, and Rama, are in the Maha-mantra, the very affectionate names for the lordships. And names such as Bhagwan and Ishwar, hardly we would chant those names, unless they're in the verse. There's Ishwara, Parama, Krishna. Some of these names do appear in some of the verses, but generally we stick to the primary names. Anything, anybody like to share about this, or any comments about, or questions about the difference between the primary, principal, and secondary names? Was everybody aware of this? I presume everybody is aware of this. And it's not a big surprise. Yes, Kaushalya.
Yes, Prabhu, I'm hearing first time these things.
Really?
Yes, very touching.
Wow. That's good.
Thank you, Prabhu.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for not falling asleep.
No, no.
Yeah. And it makes sense, right, Kaushalya Maji?
Yes, Prabhu, very much. My eyes are tearing up now. Tears coming out listening to these things.
Wow. Okay. Thank you for sharing.
Very touching, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for
Opening my eyes so widely.
Well, you have this innocence about you that Krishna will always protect you. So
Thank you, Prabhu.
And Guru Maharaj loved you so much.
Yes, yes, he did.
He was always very affectionate. Okay. Okay. So then there's three types of chanting. Oh, we're not going to have time. It's okay. Oh, here we go. The sound effects. Sudhanam, Namabas, and Namaparat. Okay. That was probably the Namaparat. So there's three stages. We want to avoid being here. Right. Sudhanam is pure chanting. Right? That's where we are completely conscious of chanting the Lord's holy names. And it said, if we chant even once the holy name in Shuddhanam, complete full consciousness of God, we will achieve the Supreme Lord immediately, even whilst living in this world. This is a really high level of chanting, very, very high level of chanting. He said, Sudhanam can destroy all sins. Namapas can do the same. But Shuddhanam can take one into the spiritual realm, even whilst in this body. So this is really powerful. And the more we chant purely, the better chance we've got of coming to this level. So. As an effect of this chanting, he receives pure love of Godhead. From this platform, one gets prema bhakti, where one, which is very rare because Krishna doesn't give his pure love of Godhead so easily. Because through that pure love of Godhead, he becomes controlled by his devotee. He gives himself. And Krishna is the only one who gives himself. Right? Sometimes, I remember this wonderful question was asked by Puna Mataji, something to the effect, is Krishna crooked? And the answer is yes, of course he is. Right? If you compare him to Ram, Ram walks straight. Krishna doesn't even walk straight, right? He's got this swagger about him. How does he stand straight? No, Ram stands straight. He stands high, back straight. Krishna, he's got the three bending form. Right? Ram keeps his word, right? His word is his bond. His word is his vow, his word is his vow, or something like that. He won't break his word. But Krishna, he'll not just break his word, but he'll say something, and this he would mean something completely different. With Ramachandra, he said something and you could understand what he meant. With Krishna, he'll say something and you'll be wondering, what does he mean by this? Or he'll mean something completely opposite of what he's saying. But he's the only one who will break his own word to fulfill the promise of his devotee. Ram won't do that. Ram will keep his word. But Krishna will break his own word to please his devotee. He's happy to become infamous for the pleasure of his devotee. And that's why he won't give pure love, because he becomes controlled by his devotee. He's the only one who will sacrifice his own life, his own self, for his devotee, right? Which is what he did in the pastime of Damodar. He allowed himself to be tied up. He sacrificed himself for the love of his devotee. That's why he won't give this so easily, this pure. That's why we have to beg and cry for it. If we want this, it's not something that is easily given. You have to really, really beg. There's a wonderful class by Govind Swami. He says, we have to cry for Krishna. If you can't cry for Krishna, you cry that you can't cry for Krishna. And he goes on like that for about 5 or 10 minutes. If you can't cry, then you cry that you can't cry for Krishna. And he keeps going like that for about 5 or 10 minutes, just to emphasize this point that when we chant the holy names, there must be tears. Tears that, my dear Lord, I want you, nothing else. Then we may make a little bit of progress towards Shuddhanam, maybe. But this is a very high level. Namabhas is probably roughly where most of us will be at. This is the clearing stage where we're not chanting offensively. We know what the offenses are. So we're not chanting with offenses. Oh, yes, Kaushalya, what is Shuddhanam? Shuddh is pure. Shuddh means pure. So we're chanting Krishna's name, fully understanding what we're chanting, fully in connection with Krishna, fully realizing who we are and who he is and what's our relationship with him. 100%. Like Haridas Thakur, he would chant and nothing would stop his consciousness from being with Krishna. Even the prostitute came in front of him, standing in front of him, the most beautiful woman in the world. But it did not impact Haridas Thakur because he was chanting Shuddhanam, pure holy name. Does that make sense, Kaushalya?
Yes, Prabhu.
Shuddhanam, just
Yes.
on the Lord.
Hmm.
It's possible. We have to pray for it.
Hmm.
And this is what it says, when a Shuddhanam chanter observes Krishna, Krishna comes and dances on his tongue.
Hmm. Wonderful.
Mm.
I hope that day comes in my life soon, Prabhu.
I'm sure it will. Mataji, by the mercy of Guru and Gauranga, anything,
Yes.
everything is possible, especially if we desire this. And especially if you do it from a platform of sincerity and innocence. My Lord, I just want you, nothing else. You will come very quickly. Very, very quickly you will come. Mhm.
Satvachan Prabhuji.
Yeah. This next bit is where we're not chanting offensively. We know what the offenses are. So we stay clear of those offenses. And we're in the clearing stage. It means abhas means reflection. Abhas is not fully conscious of chanting, not Shuddha Nam, but it's still very, very powerful. This is what saved Ajamil from death. Right? By serving the spiritual master with full attention, one rises to the Shuddha Nam stage. This is not so easy. This is not so easy, but we have to endeavor for it. If we don't endeavor for it, we won't get. We have to beg for it. We have to put the effort in and rely on the Lord's mercy. That's all. But at this stage, we're not committing offense. And this is still very, very powerful. If we achieve this stage, then we will achieve Vaikuntha. No doubt about Vaikuntha. This is where Ajamil went, Vaikuntha. However, if we're chanting like this guy is running, he's running very, very fast, right? But he's not going anywhere. He's not going far. He's not going anywhere. So we could be at this stage, Nam Aparat, where we're simply chanting, but we're actually not going anywhere. So this is where we have to be very, very careful. As long as the chanting is performed with offenses, it's impossible to attain the love of God. We won't be able to do it. It's just some names coming. It's just some voice. And it's not even the holy name. It's just some noise that's coming. It's like shooting a blank. Bang, a lot of noise, but no impact. Nothing else should be aspired then to progress to the next stage as quickly as possible. Offenses have to be given up. This guy's really fast, eh? So now I wanted Madhusudan Prabhu to share. Did you find that, the quotation by Prabhupada?
Well,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, I did actually. I mean, there's
because we know.
Haribol, sorry. Yeah, that was actually, Srila Prabhupada's recording on the first album that they produced, and they used to give that, they used to sell that LP, it used to be LP in those days. I've still got it somewhere. And yeah, it's actually on YouTube as well as a recording of Prabhupada speaking it out and explaining. And I used to listen to it every day, first thing in the morning when I used to go to work, and put in the tape, listen to every single word that Prabhupada, and how Prabhupada has chosen each and every single word in the sentence, the phrase. And it's only 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, just slightly over 5 minutes. And it's on YouTube. I mean, do you want me to share it like that? I mean, I don't know if people have heard it or would they like to hear Prabhupada?
Let's have a look at it. Yeah, good. Let me.
If you want, I can just play it, and
yeah,
then if people
share it, you can share your screen. You should be able to now. That's it. Yeah, good.
Yeah. I was actually trying to do a PowerPoint of it, but Let me get out of this, okay. This is actually the recording. You can find it on Google if you Google it. And it says here, this part here on chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, as explained on the cover of the record album, this transcendental vibration, the chanting of the Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama Rama. How Prabhupada uses words like the sublime method of reviving our Krishna consciousness. So it's reviving our Krishna consciousness. And when you actually pay attention to every single word, and you think, Prabhupada has explained everything here. Then he says that as living spiritual souls, we are all originally Krishna conscious entities. So we are originally Krishna conscious. But due to our association with matter since time immemorial, our consciousness is now polluted by material atmosphere. Then that's Prabhupada saying how we're contaminated. I mean, like consciousness is polluted, and in that polluted consciousness, we are trying to exploit the resources of material nature. But actually, we are becoming more and more entangled. So this part here, I'll try and see now. You're probably able to hear Prabhupada's. Can you hear it?
Not yet.
I think you have to play.
Yeah, somebody's made a YouTube clip of it as well, which was an audio recording, so I can play that. Can you see the screen?
Yeah. That's it.
Can you hear it?
Not yet. It's playing fine, but it's muted. It's muted. You can unmute it.
Well, I can hear it, but I don't know if you can hear it.
Oh, weird. Yeah, we can't hear it.
Or you can find this. It says Srila Prabhupada explaining Maha-mantra on your end, and just play that, you know.
Yeah, okay, yeah. We could do it this side. Just 1 second. Good idea.
I don't know why I can't hear my...
Yeah.
I can hear it, but it's probably not coming across.
It's good to hear Prabhupada.
Yeah, it's lovely to hear Prabhupada, and pay attention to the words he uses. It's amazing.
Yeah, true.
And then you meditate on the words and think, how did Prabhupada come across? How did he put that word? You know, I mean...
Okay.
Money doesn't grow on trees. It grows with Amazon. Join today.
Yeah, so I can stop share and then you can...
Yeah, let me just see if I can share.
Yeah, so I'll stop share and then you can just share it. Srila Prabhupada explaining Maha-mantra, so you hopefully...
Yeah. Can you hear?
Hare Krishna,
yeah.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the sublime method for reviving our Krishna consciousness. As living spiritual soul, we are all originally Krishna conscious entities, but due to our association with matter from time immemorial, our consciousness is now polluted by material atmosphere. In this polluted concept of life, we are all trying to exploit the resources of material nature, but actually we are becoming more and more entangled by complexities. This illusion is called Maya, our hard struggle for existence, for winning over the stringent laws of material nature. This illusory struggle against material nature can at once be stopped by revival of our Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is not an artificial imposition on the mind. This consciousness is the original energy of living entity. When we hear the transcendental vibration, this consciousness is revived, and the process is recommended by authorities for this age. By practical experience also, we can perceive that by chanting this Maha-mantra or the great chanting for deliverance, one can at once feel transcendental ecstasy from the spiritual state. When one is factually on the plane of spiritual understanding, surpassing the stages of sense, mind, and intellect, one is situated on transcendental plane. This chanting of Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is directly enacted from the spiritual platform, surpassing all world status of consciousness, namely sensual, mental, and intellectual. There is no need of understanding the language of the mantra, nor there is any mental speculation, nor any intellectual adjustment for chanting. It springs automatically from the spiritual platform, and as such, anyone can take part in this transcendental sound evolution without any previous qualification and dance in ecstasy. We have seen it practically. Even a child can take part in the chanting, or even a dog can take part. The chanting should be heard from the lips of a pure devotee of the Lord, so that immediate effects can be achieved. As far as possible, chanting from the lips of non-devotees should be avoided as much as milk touched by the lips of a cat causes poisonous effect. The word what is the form of adoration, energy of the heart. Both Krishna and Rama are form of addressing directly to Lord, and they mean the highest pleasure with us. Hara is the pleasure potency of the Lord. This potency, when addressed as praise, helps us in reaching the Supreme Lord. The material energy called as Maya, also one of the multi-potencies of the Lord, as much as we are also marginal potency of the Lord. The living entities are described as superior energy than matter. When the superior energy is in contact with inferior energy, it becomes an incompatible situation. But when the supreme marginal potency is in contact with spiritual potency, Hara, it becomes the happy, normal condition of living entity. The three words, namely Hara, Krishna, and Ram, are transcendental seeds of the Maha-mantra, and the chanting is spiritual call for the Lord and his internal energy, Hara, for giving protection to the conditioned soul. The chanting is exactly like genuine cry by the child or mother. Mother Hara helps in achieving the praise of the Supreme Father Hari or Krishna, and the Lord reveals himself to such sincere devotee. No other means, therefore, of spiritual realization is as effective in this age as chanting the Maha-mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
My name is Scott Harrison. Just listen.
Great. Very good.
So there you are, Prabhu. You know, in that 5 minutes, Prabhupada has covered everything, the whole essence of the whole philosophy, the meaning of the Maha-mantra, our situation. When Prabhupada even says, like, you know, when one is factually on the plane of spiritual understanding, surpasses the stages of sense, mind, intelligence, one is situated on the transcendental plane. Then he says, this chanting is enacted from the spiritual platform, surpassing all lower states of consciousness. That means when we are on a sensual, mental, or intellectual, we are on a lower platforms. And then this chanting actually surpasses that. And there is no need to understand the meaning of the mantra as well. Nor is there a need for any mental speculation. We don't have to speculate on this mantra, you know, what its effect is, what this, or any intellectual adjustment. And Prabhupada said, intellectual adjustment. I mean, it blew my mind. I said, how did Prabhupada explain that? This is, I don't have to be intellectually kind of doing some adjustment for chanting this mantra. It springs automatically from the spiritual platform. And as such, anyone can take part in it. Even a dog can check, even a child. Prabhupada just say, the chanting should be heard from the lips of a pure devotee. So when we hear Prabhupada chanting, that is powerful. And we should avoid from the lips of non-devotees. So it's everything there, in this 5-minute recording. And I used to listen to this when I got this LP years ago. Then obviously just before this recording is played on the LP, Prabhupada actually chants the Hare Krishna mantra. There's a recording of Prabhupada chanting. So it's wonderful to keep listening to this every now and then. And whenever we listen, there'll be words will come out and strike at you. That's what I used to experience anyway. And I said, hang on a minute. I to play back and say, I missed that bit. What did Prabhupada say? What word did he use? Then he said the chanting is exactly like a genuine cry for a child for mother. Then Prabhupada, Mother Hara helps in achieving the grace of the Supreme Father. So you've covered all these things. So anyway, thank you for letting me share this. And I always feel happy with listening to this with Prabhupada.
Thank you. Very good.
Thank you. Yeah.
Anybody, any questions, any comments, anything that's not agreeable or disagreeable rather? Or is everything makes some sense? What do you think, Aruna?
Very powerful. I'm just trying to go on my YouTube and saving it. I'm listening to it every day. Yeah, very powerful.
Yeah. There's recording of it. You can record it and play it in your car whenever you go. You'll hear Prabhupada explaining this so wonderfully, and it's only 5 minutes, but cool.
Yeah, sorry, Aruna?
It's quite powerful. I'm just looking on my iPhone and trying to find the explanation, and I'm going to save it and going to try and listen to it again.
Yeah, that you'll find so many different clips because people have actually taken advantage. I mean, put this in text form or sometimes commented on it. Or so there's one where it says Prabhupada's Raw Truth. If you Google that, you'll get the text of it, which is what I had on my screen. Okay. And then YouTube will be Srila Prabhupada explaining Maha-mantra.
Yeah, that's
so just Google that, and you'll find various different clips. But the right ones is this one I played here in a Prabhupada. Nabi just played this. So yeah. Okay, thank you for letting me share that, and all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Anything else anybody like to share? Rohit, what do you think?
Hare Krishna, yes, Prabhu.
So, how's your chanting?
Yes, chanting is, if chanting goes, everything will come perfectly. Yeah. Like Prabhupada says, no, whatever, all in Brahma Vaivarta Purana also it was said, if you do chanting, no, everything will come material. You don't need to about to worry, especially.
Yes.
When I used to do chanting, I got these material benefits. Like good. Yeah, really. Sometimes we see cell phone and chant, no? And that it's not that chanting. Sometimes we see videos and Prabhupada videos, some other devotee talking, and while one is chanting. And yeah, it happens always for us because they are senior devotees. We should stop either chanting, but we'll do chanting and talk.
Yeah. Very good. Thank you so much. Rohit. Okay.
And sometimes even while listening lectures, it's very bad habit. Sometimes I saw, uh, like lecture is happening, devotees are chanting.
No, that's no good. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be part of the core rounds. But if somebody's lecturing, we should focus on the lecture. Definitely, because otherwise that's an offense to the Bhagavatam and to the lecturer, to Prabhupada. So many offenses at the same time.
I think, can I share some, my experience with chanting is that obviously some people will come across or introduce or learn how to chant in different circumstances. And fortunately for me, I was we don't, we've never chanted before, maybe in previous life, who knows? But this life, we do come across it. We are introduced by somebody. I know Bhumadev was the first disciple, devotee of Prabhupada. I was at the manor. He sat next to me, he gave me the beads, and he explained to me how to chant on the beads. He said, "This is the main Krishna bead. You don't chant on that. You stand around, turn around, and go back and all that." So, and then you spend time in place like Manor in those days, and I used to go to the Mangalarti, and in the morning, 4:30, when everybody is chanting, it is really nice to be in the associate with other devotees chanting on their beads, and the whole vibration is so nice. The atmosphere is just nice, wonderful. Everybody's going Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, 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 and everybody's so that's one kind of experience. Then we also start to learn to chant on our own whenever we can. Our mind, we start to think when you're walking. So we all chant in different ways. There are challenges at times. I must admit, I'm not perfect all the time. It's just never been, it's struggle at times. At times it's easy when I go for a walk. So, and in the classroom, sometimes I used to sit there, and when there's moments, chanting just comes automatically in the head, and I just start chanting. So some people may not have that kind of experience. So you just come across chanting. How do I chant? And where do I? But we take it for granted now. Like, we pick beads and chant and all that. But many other people, many of you on this um, present here might not have that kind of experience. But still, somehow or the other, you come to a stage where you started to chant now. You see the importance of the Maha-mantra, and it's not always there. We have to come to a stage where automatically we're just chanting, just chanting in your mind, your head, on your beads. Then it comes to chanting from the heart, then, and then your whole body, like Prabhupada's body, they used to say, that eventually your whole body, or every atom in your body, even like Prabhupada was mentioning, the living entities in your body, they get the vibrations of the chanting of Maha Mantra. Every little germ or vibration. Let the coronavirus get in you and let it chant, and hopefully that gets delivered. Who knows, but blissful. Like Prabhupada said, this chanting is a spiritual, it's from a spiritual platform. So, but we got so many, faults in us. Like, obviously we create offenses to the name, like we don't pay attention and everything. But over the years, I've found that, there are times, like I Prabhupada was saying, when I lecture or you start to chant, then you're not paying attention to the lecture. Then sometimes you're watching TV and you're chanting. And then sometimes you're driving and you start chanting. But chanting is chanting. So just chant whenever you can, no matter what happens, right? I found that. And sometimes I feel guilty for not chanting. Then I feel guilty for chanting at the wrong time. So you say, what do? You beat yourself for you feel guilty for chanting at the wrong time or at the right time or not time. But the important thing is just chant. Chanting, no matter what, and if you committed offenses, just Lord Chaitanya, please forgive me. Please forgive me. And that's how you keep just chanting. And like they say, why saintly people like Prabhupada, the body becomes transcendental. So that's why they don't get cremated. It's Prabhupada's samadhi is there in Vrindavan. When you get a chance, you sit next to, just like we were reading in Canto 6, Vritrasur, his bone, he was created out of the bones of this personality, the chants of mantras and all that, and then out of him came out this Vritrasur. So we don't understand the intricacies of how transcendental sound vibrations have an effect on our body, on every single cell of our body. So just keep chanting, and as they say, chant and be happy.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sorry if I've gone on for a bit, but sorry, Nabi.
No,
Hare Krishna.
It's good. It's good to hear. Anybody else? Otherwise, we can shift on to the Nishinga Kavach. So, there is, oh yeah, let me just stop the recording.